The council chamber of Zephyr Station was built like a cathedral of glass and light, hovering above the atmosphere of Proxima B4. Dozens of alien delegates sat around the crescent-shaped forum, their skin tones ranging from molten gold to obsidian blue. Conversations had been formal, calculated, and painfully diplomatic, until the humans said that line. A ripple of shock moved across the crowd. Some species communicated with scent, and the air instantly shifted with confusion and alarm. Others blinked rapidly, their frilders rising in disbelief. A few reached for translators, convinced they had misheard. Only one person in the room didn't panic, the human himself. He stood casually at the center, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a dark gray uniform marked with Earth's diplomatic crest. His name was Captain Reese Calder, but the aliens had already labeled him something else in their private channels, the female eater of Solar Eye. Across from him sat Aria Valen, a violet-skinned xenobiologist from the Sci-Fi Dominion. Unlike the others, she hadn't recoiled. She stared at him with narrowed silver eyes, trying to decode whether he was being literal, sarcastic, or culturally provocative. Her tendrils of hair lifted slightly, a reflex a species displayed when curiosity overpowered fear. Before anyone could respond, a chime echoed through the chamber, indicating the Council AI had flagged the statement as a Level 2 socio-cultural threat. Guards at the perimeter tensed. Even the glowing orbs that recorded diplomatic archives dimmed, unsure whether to censor the moment or preserve history. Reese didn't flinch. "I believe context matters," he added calmly, raising one hand in placating gesture. "Humans don't consume their partners. We please one another. It's a metaphor, not a meal." The translation drones hesitated. Some species had no concept of metaphor. Others had far too many. Aria finally spoke, her voice clear and melodic. "You're saying you bike your females a pleasure." A dozen council members recoiled again. Reese pinched the bridge of his nose. "No, that's not... Okay, something's getting lost here." But before he could clarify further, a senior counselor from the crystalline Thalrun species rose up, his body crackling with alarm. "This behavior must be reported to the Galactic Ethics Assembly. If your males devour mates, you are biologically incompatible with peaceful coexistence." The misunderstanding was officially spiraling, and Reese knew Earth's fate might hang on how he handled the next sentence. Reese could feel the situation slipping, diplomatic ground crumbling beneath his boots. Every pair of alien eyes, from compound to bioluminescent, was fixed on him like he'd just confessed to ritual cannibalism. The council guard hadn't drawn weapons yet, but their posture made it clear they were one wrong phrase away from escorting him out in restraints. Or an airlock. Aria rose slowly, the soft luminescent patterns along her temples shifting from lavender to pale blue, a Sci-Fi sign of control concern. "Before any sanctions are considered," she said, addressing the chamber, "I request permission to question the human privately." The council chair, a translucent being of liquid form named Vorthan, rippled with disapproval. "Our protocols require transparency, not closed-door clarifications." Arya countered, calm but firm, "Then let it be recorded publicly." But panicking over linguistic confusion is far less productive than understanding it. Murmurs followed. Some delegates agreed, others whispered warnings. The Thalrun elder looked unconvinced but reluctantly settled back into his crystalline seat. Reese exhaled slowly as Arya approached him at the center of the chamber. She stopped a few feet away, close enough to speak quietly, far enough to avoid offending conservative species. "Captain Calder," she said, her expression unreadable, "explain what you meant by eating females." In neutral biological terms. Behind them, translators prepped, recorders hovered, and an entire galactic forum leaned in. Reese paused, choosing his words carefully. Humans engage in acts of intimate stimulation using the mouth. It's not consumption. It's a form of pleasure and bonding. Half the council blinked. The other half recoiled as if he described a war crime. Arya tilted her head. "You place your mouth on reproductive organs as affection." Reese winced at the clinical phrasing but nodded. "Consensually. Enthusiastically. It's not violent." This time, a different kind of shock moved through the room. Not fear, but baffled fascination. Multiple species began quietly consulting their cultural databases. A few whispered translations to their aides. One amphibious delegate made an audible gulping noise. Arya folded her arms, her eyes still locked on him. And you believe your statement was humorous? It was meant as light conversation, Rhys said carefully. On Earth, exaggeration is common. I'd forgotten some species interpret literally first and metaphor second. A counselor with golden bark-like skin muttered to his assistant. Their mating practices are armed with jokes. Arya didn't smile, but her eyes softened. Then you didn't mean to imply predation. No, he replied. I meant to imply enthusiasm. That word set off another wave of translator glitches. The misunderstanding wasn't resolved, but the panic had shifted into stunned curiosity. And in diplomacy, curiosity was salvageable. The council chair finally intervened, his liquid form dimming to a cooler tone. Captain Calder, your clarification is unexpected, but intent must be verified before judgment. Xenobiologist Arya Valen, are you equipped to assess his claim? Arya gave a single nod, though her expression hinted she wasn't sure whether she'd been assigned a diplomatic task or an anatomy investigation. I can conduct a biological and cultural evaluation, she replied. But not here. Vorthan pulsed approval. You will escort the human to the auxiliary chamber. Observation will continue via holofeed. No physical interaction until his statements are verified. Rhys resisted the urge to groan. Great. First interstellar mission, and I'm already being culturally audited for hypothetical cannibalism. As the two exited the main chamber, the buzz of alien conversations erupted behind them, translated fragments echoing down the hall. Do human females grow back if partially eaten? They use mouths for reproduction? Inefficient. Perhaps their teeth are ceremonial. Imagine the dental insurance. Rhys pretended not to hear any of it. The auxiliary chamber was smaller, circular, with light-dampening walls that shifted color with movement. A holo panel flickered to life, signaling the council was watching. Arya remained formal for exactly 2 seconds before exhaling sharply. I cannot believe I now have to write a report on whether humans chew their partners. Rhys cracked a tired smile. Welcome to advanced diplomacy. She regarded him differently now, still analytical, but less alarmed. In Sci-Fi science, intimacy is biological exchange. For us, touch is reserved for mental bonding rituals, not oral stimulation. He raised an eyebrow. So you don't kiss? We exchange neural resonance through the palms, she said, lifting one hand, faintly glowing. It's considered deeply intimate. Only bonded pays shared. That actually sounds beautiful. She blinked at the sincerity in his tone. And your people, she asked, use a mouth as a sensory conduit for affection. Not just affection, Rhys said with a half-smirk. Admiration, gratitude, curiosity. Her silver eyes held his longer than before, measuring, recalibrating. And this behavior is enjoyed willingly by females, she asked, genuinely skeptical. Willingly requested, he corrected. The holo-feed glitched as 3 delegates tried to translate that simultaneously. Arya's lips finally curved. Barely, but it was there. Your species is stranger than I expected. And your council, Rhys said, thought I was a serial devourer of women. You didn't help your case with that opening sentence. I was trying to be relatable, he muttered. Next time, she suggested dryly, try not starting with, we consume our mates. Fair. For the first time since stepping off the shuttle, Rhys sensed the crisis might actually be reversible if he didn't say anything dumber. Before Arya could continue her questioning, the chamber door slid open with a soft hydraulic hum. A trio of council aides entered, each from a different species, carrying scanning equipment, holoslates, and a translator drone shaped like a floating orb with too many eyes. One of them, a pale green Thalrun junior researcher, spoke first. We are required to document and verify all claims regarding human oral interaction rituals. He said it like he was announcing a funeral. Rhys ran a hand down his face. It's not a ritual. It's, look, do we really need scanners for this? The aide blinked his crystalline eyelids. Our ethics board insists. Arya held up a hand. Let me lead the assessment. Too many observers will compromise accuracy. Perhaps it was her reputation, or the fact that she outranked two of the aides, but they agreed. The equipment was set on a nearby console, and the rest left the chamber. Only one remained, a floating ocular drone, assigned to record. Arya didn't hide her irritation. Must that stay? It's required for interspecies hearings. The drone announced in 6 languages at once. Reese gave it a look usually reserved for malfunctioning toasters. Is it at least discreet? No. Perfect. Arya stepped closer to him, adopting a professional tone that was clearly for the recording. To clarify for the council, your species uses a mouth for sensory stimulation during bonding, not predation. Yes, Reese confirmed, trying to sound like a responsible ambassador instead of someone accidentally on trial for romance-related cannibalism. And consent is required. Absolutely. And this is pleasurable to both parties. That's a general idea. The drone word, annotating every word with unsettling enthusiasm. Arya paused, then asked something unexpected. Would you allow a controlled demonstration? Reese froze. What? For scientific confirmation, she said calmly, though there was a faintest shimmer of amusement in her eyes. Not direct reproduction contact, just proof that the mouth is not used for flesh consumption. He stared. You want me to, what, kiss your hand in front of a galactic surveillance orb? The drone chimed. Clarify, is kiss a subcategory of oral bonding? Arya ignored it. A brief, harmless example. Better than letting the council imagine dismemberment. He exhaled. She wasn't wrong. Fine, he said. But for the record, this is the weirdest first contact protocol I've ever participated in. She extended her hand slowly, palm down, fingers relaxed. He hesitated only a moment before leaning in and brushing his lips gently across her skin. The drone nearly short-circuited trying to describe it, and to Reese's surprise, Arya didn't pull away. The moment his lips touched her skin, Arya went very still, not in fear, but in startled sensory overload. Sci-Fi palms weren't designed for contact that warm. Their bonding rituals were based on energy resonance, not pressure and temperature. For a fraction of a second, her neural pathways lit with signals she'd never catalogued before. The drone recorded the scene with clinical panic. Observation. Human oral contact initiated. Subject Arya Valen remains intact. No visible bite marks. No dermal tearing. No consumption in progress. Reese pulled back with a sigh. Thank you for the play-by-play. Arya flexed her fingers slowly, eyes fixed on her palm like it had just spoken to her. Your mouth is hot. Thanks, he said, unsure if that was praise or medical concern. The drone drifted between them. Follow up. Do humans heat their mouths before mating to tender-eyed partners? Reese stared at it. I'm begging you to stop talking. Before the drone could produce a new round of academic horror, the chamber lights flickered. Someone had opened a live feed from the council floor. The holo screen ignited above them, displaying the delegates' reactions in real time. Shockingly, they weren't panicking anymore. They were debating. An avian species with emerald plumage was flapping its wing arms excitedly. If stimulation is non-destructive, perhaps humans are more compatible than assumed. A reptilian envoy hissed thoughtfully. Mouth-based bonding, inefficient, but intriguing. Does it enhance fertility or submission? The Thalrun elder, once horrified, now squinted with scholarly interest. Perhaps this eating phrase is metaphorical, as with our winter mating idiom, I will devour your echo. Reese blinked. You people say what? But before he could pursue that nightmare, a new voice cut through the commotion, measured, deep, and unsettlingly calm. It belonged to the High Arbiter, the only council figure with executive power over treaties and sanctions. His hologram flickered into the auxiliary chamber, towering and translucent, shaped like a being carved from starlight and rootwork. Captain Calder, Xenobiologist Valen, the council is divided. Some view your explanation as plausible. Others suspect deceit. Reese squared his shoulders. With respect, what would proof even look like to them? The Arbiter regarded him in silence before answering. A cultural exchange demonstration, sanctioned, supervised, and witnessed by a neutral committee. Reese blinked once. "You were asking me to kiss aliens apiece." Arya didn't laugh, but her eyes glinted with something dangerously close to it. And the Arbiter simply said, "If that is a method by which your species builds trust, then yes." The fate of Earth had never depended on something so ridiculous or so risky.